First off, I would like to apologize to anyone looking forward to seeing Fat Sonic in action. I had initially edited a model of Sonic in Blender that would allow me to adjust how fat or thin he would be in the game using blend shapes. However, I had too much trouble getting the new model to animate properly, so instead, I decided to work on something that seemed much more important. See, at the beginning of July, I uploaded a devlog showing off all the newly functioning grind rails in a few imported levels. It took me several weeks of work in my spare time, but I was proud of what I had done. Shortly thereafter, Sonic Overtime uploaded a new video of him playing my game, but this time playing through all the levels from Sonic Heroes. It was looking good, but there was a big problem. I still hadn't added any working grind rails to the one level from that game, which was almost exclusively grind rails, Rail Canyon. There was a reason I hadn't done it sooner. There was simply too much rail in Rail Canyon. To manually add control points of a Bezier curve to every single model was going to take actual weeks or perhaps months of tedious work, and I had challenged myself to do it in a week. Here's how I managed. Day 1. I accidentally pushed a commit containing an asset bundle that slightly exceeded the 100 megabytes limit. I couldn't risk losing any work, so I copied the entire project before working any Git magic. Surely, it couldn't take too long.
Approximately 10 hours later.
Day 2. By lunchtime, I could finally fix everything with a hard reset to the previous commit. While this did erase all the changes I made in the offending commit, I used the copied project to restore the changes I made to the same files, but this time making sure the new asset bundles stayed under the precious 100 megabytes limit. All was well again. I got to work rewriting parts of the Bezier spline editor script to make viewing the vertices of a mesh more performant, i.e. stop Unity from sending the viewport into oblivion. When that didn't work, I tried duplicating a Bezier spline before, simultaneously moving all its control points to save time. While this would work well sometimes where the grind rails were perfectly offset from each other, this would usually take longer to fix than if I had just done it the normal way. I had to think of a better way to get this done, and fast. Day 3. I added a button to my Bezier spline editor to enable the new Auto Add Everything functionality. Clicking on another vertex would automatically add control points to nearly all the other connected vertices of a mesh. However, nearly wasn't good enough. Worse still, sometimes the wrong vertices would be chosen for control points, no matter how many times I adjusted the search criteria. It was time to take drastic action, just not until the following morning. Day 4. I opened up Blender, imported the Rail Canyon level models, and started removing all the unnecessary vertices from the grind rail models. Here's how I did that. By selecting the top side face of a grind rail, and then using select linked faces to select all the actual faces of a rail I required, I could invert the selection and delete both the faces and the problematic vertices. A few hours of this later, and hopefully I could make some rapid progress on this challenge, starting tomorrow. Day 5. I made some final tweaks and adjustments to the Bezier spline editor script, and at long last, I could reliably implement working grind rails for the entirety of Rail Canyon. Although the work was still tedious, the rapid progress I made now compared to before was exhilarating. The only thing left to do was to optimize performance. As it turns out, having nearly 100 grind rails with an average of 100 control points active all the time makes the game chug ever so slightly.
Yeah!